This is Thorin, also known as the Esports Historian, and I'm here exclusively for Esportsbet to bring you my thoughts on the outright winner of the Blast World Final, the last big Tier 1 LAN event of 2022, which has a chance for Navi to go out on a high, Faze to go out on a high, Heroic with the stand-in to do something crazy, Outsiders to show the major wasn't a fluke. There's all sorts of great storylines, but of course, this is brought to you by Esportsbet, the industry's leading crypto odds matrix. Did you know, as you can see on the screen right now, they also are offering real-life football/soccer World Cup bets. So if you want to bet on one of the teams still in the tournament, you could do so on their website. If you've never bet with crypto on Esportsbet before, they still have their classic first-time deposit bonus of 50% on up to 200 USDT. Now then, let's get into it. Remember, on Esportsbet, if you want to bet on an outright winner, this is something that I've done in the past. I actually even did it for DRX and League of Legends because they had crazy odds from the semis onwards. I obviously bet on the last one of these on Faze to win Blast 4 finals. They were one round away. They were so close. It didn't happen, whatever. What you do remember, though, is you don't just go to the Esports Bowl and go to CSGO, where there's loads of CSGO to bet on. You can do all the matches, etc. No. You scroll all the way to the bottom to outright. And at the moment, there's only one. There's one tournament left, and it is the Blast Premier Worlds 2022 champion. And remember, what we're doing here, still got some time to enter, is you're just picking the team that's going to win the whole thing. So we're no seconds, no deep play. It's just the winner overall. So let's look at these odds, right? I actually think Heroic having these odds is crazy because obviously Heroic doesn't have, on paper, their best player, Starvin, however you want to say it. He was the heart of the team in terms of consistent numbers, and numbers, quite frankly, I think is where Heroic can sometimes be on the brink. Their style is very good, their map pull is very good, their mental still a little bit questionable, although given props, they're overcoming that a little bit. It's actually having raw firepower that sometimes I think is why they lag behind in games or can't close games out. So the problem is, config can bring you that raw firepower, and if you watch, for example, like the hot take point made, Snake and Banter rather, the one that we had Tech Girl on, or By the Numbers, I make the point that, look, there is a world where Heroic can win this. They can come and have a fluke stand-in event where they just win, even though it's their best player, because like config actually roll for roll feels like he should fit in well. I could see him tearing it up in terms of kills. Sure, he hasn't played in active play for months and months and months now. That's an issue. But for them to be the favourite for the whole event, I'm just going to say this right now, I would save you money. I don't think those odds are big enough. Now, if this had been down at, like, let's say 7 or 8, down where like these sorts of teams, then I actually would have said a crazy cheeky flyer might be good on a road. Because as I say, as long as they're not the favourite, I think there is a world where they can be a crazy dark horse, win, never use config again. Stown comes back in. They're a better team with Stown, but they could do it at this event, especially with what weak form a lot of the teams are looking at. And it's the last sort of gasp, right? It doesn't matter that your team isn't going to be there forever going forwards. With that said, though, that's if everything goes well. If it goes badly, they're going to be an also run. They could come 7th or 8th. They could just be a team that makes the playoffs and go out first round without winning a map. So I would say avoid them as the favourite. I think that's a terrible bet. Faze Clan as the second favourite, I actually think that's pretty good. As people saw at Fall Finals, I expected a bounce back from this. Spoiler, part of the problem at the Major, in my opinion, is they played one best of 3 on LAN. And by the way, they almost won the first map, the one that was their perma. They won the next map fairly handily. The third map, they were leading massively and almost. So if they'd had more best of 3s, I think you would have seen a better performance from Faze at the Major. And that, quite frankly, Blast 4 finals, yeah, you know what? It was debatable whether they were going to win or not, but they looked great in a number of the matches. All in all, they looked like they were back on track. People like Brokey were back in the game. A whole bunch of the big names, even Rain was performing well again. I actually think Faze is the favourite for this tournament. Like, I'm actually going to put some money on them here. I'm going to say I'll do 500. So it's about half a unit of what I currently do. I'm going to do 500 on Faze to win at 4.54 odds. Because remember, key detail. 1, this tournament is all best of 3, group stage and playoffs, and only the last place team who goes 0-2 in the groups gets eliminated and doesn't make playoffs. So if you're a team like Faze or Navi, this is a very forgiving format. And if you're the best, I think this is the format that shows it. So I'm going to take Faze. I think they're the best team in the world still overall. If you had to put a gun to my head and say, pick someone out to win the tournament, I'm taking Faze. I think these are good enough odds. I think they actually should be the favourite in my opinion, especially because of the heroic scenario. Then we come to outsiders, 4.761. Now you might know from past betting shows, I love to bet on outsiders. I got them to win the major. I got all sorts of different bets for them in the final, the semi-final. I've got them all over the place in ESL Challenger, Rotterdam, Pro League. But I always know when to hop off the outsiders train. And spoiler, that train has left the station, boys. They've won the major. That was a fluke. Part of it was the bracket, some inspired performances by some of their players. Like James not going to hit those numbers again for a big tournament and be the MVP. So I would say, I think these are terrible numbers for outsiders. I think this is a trap right there because they're the major winners and you haven't seen them play since in a big LAN setting. I do not think outsiders is going to win this LAN. I think the competition they are going to play, because of how forgiving the format is way too good for them. Yes, you know what? There's a world where maybe they could beat a Faze or a Navi once, but are they going to beat both? Or are they going to beat them and a Vitality and a Liquid? I don't think they are overall. So I've got to say personally, I don't think outsiders win this tournament. I don't like the odds, 4.7. Again, I would like these to be more like 7. If it was something like 7, I'd say they're a nice dark horse team, take them, because that's who outsiders is. I don't think they're a team that's going to win trophies, big ones, obviously they can win the Challenger tournaments. But in terms of big Tier 1 land trophies, the major was it. I don't think they're going to win them aside from that. They're just a cool dark horse team and they're a very fun team to watch. And I like the test they put on other teams. Now, Navi is a very interesting one because Navi at 6.25, I get it. Navi has looked whack ever since the player break. The SDY experiment seems to have failed. Simple's numbers aren't as good. He's still a very good player. He might even be the best player in the world. Still, it's debatable. People have different tournaments up and down. But the problem is, he isn't the dominant Simple. So the problem is, right now, I get it. I wouldn't take them to win either. But I actually think, by the way, if you're a Navi fan, and if you think there's any chance either Simple plays Supernova, super great style again, or that Bit just has one last good tournament of the year to kind of make up for some of the poor ones he's had, then I think these are great odds. I actually think to have Navi as a dark horse with the firepower they have and a genius like Blade behind them and a very forgiving format, I like this right here. Like, look, I know they didn't do what they were supposed to do at the fall finals. I know that they bombed them. I know all these things, guys. But the point is, it's the odds here. The odds are saying they're a dark horse in the snow. So I like these. I think if you're a fan of Navi, take this. I think this is pretty good odds. You're very rarely ever going to get Navi at these odds with this level of talent on their lineup. Now, Vitality, people will know, love Vitality as an underdog. They're a team that I actually think have a lot more in the tank than they show at the moment. After Pro League, the Spinks scenario has been a bit depressing. He doesn't seem like he can output the numbers he needs to. He looks a bit too passive in some scenarios and a bit baity. I do think they've got to figure that out. Now, look, they have the greatest coach of all time, Zonic, behind them. I expect them to figure it out. They have Zebu, one of the absolute best players in the world. I'm sure they're hungry as fuck for a trophy, right? They only got Pro League this year. Then they had that blast final with the old lineup before Spinks. So actually, you know what? As a dark horse, which is what these are, 7.12, I actually like these odds as well. If you really think Zebu's going to go Supernova, nice cheeky little 7 odds to win the tournament. It's only an 8-team tournament. I think these are pretty good odds, actually. I would suggest take that one if you're a Vitality fan, if you're a Zebu stan, give you a good sweat, right? Seems like they've got a chance to do it. Then we come down to Team Liquid. Now, here's the thing. I think Team Liquid actually has probably less chance, in my opinion, to win big lands than outsiders do. I told you they were overrated after that Pro League run, and that OC wouldn't hold up in the biggest lands. I still have my questions about Nitro's fragging and IGLing, the Yakindar thing. It works most of the time. The games it doesn't, it looks dreadful. Elysia's been in really bad form recently. I am out on Liquid, but look at the odds. They're the third least likely team to win based on these odds. And you know what? That probably is right. I actually don't think they're going to win this tournament, but the odds are pretty good. Like, if you really believe like a miracle run can come together, the problem I have for Liquid is this. I have a hard time seeing them winning because I don't know what map would be a home map that they could win on consistently and take the title. That's my biggest issue with them as a team. They've got an interesting veto. Otherwise, they can compete with a lot of teams on good maps. They have the firepower to compete, but I don't feel like they're a cohesive unit like an Outsiders is. They don't have the raw firepower someone like Ziwu from Vitality. I have my issues with this team. I just don't think they will. But I do think the odds are very good. 10-1 odds to win. That's worth a cheeky flyer if you're someone who believes in Liquid more than me, or you think this is just the one time that's all going to come together like it almost did at Pro League and win the event. Now, G2 being down here, this is a very interesting one because everyone else is going to be like, I'm out on G2. I'm out on them too. But I will never disrespect the level of talent on that roster. Nico, contender for best rifler of the year. Monacy, contender for best rookie of the year. Hunter's still good, even if he's a bit more passive now. JKS is all right. Yes, Huxley's kind of a bit dog water, fragging wise and IGL wise is being quite questionable at this point in time. But the raw firepower, when they consider it 16.66 to win, I might even just do a cheeky one. I think that's just too outrageous as odds. That's the problem. So I might even just do like what? Let's do a stupid 50 USDT bet, so I'll get back 833. I think this is another one where, like, look, there's no reasons, like, analytically they should win, but the point is, and this is different from other teams above them, analytically there are reasons they could win. This is a very stacked event. They probably won't, but I'm putting the Chinese cheeky flyer. And then, look, the odds are incredible for OG to win. 33.33 to 1. Problem is, I do not think they can win this event. Look, it's not that they can't. Technically, the firepower is in the roster. You look at the raw firepower of some of their riflers. They do have a dangerous set of talents. Dexter could even be the MVP of the event. But even if all that happens, I think they go to the finals of the semis. I don't think they can win the whole event and actually beat the best teams in the world online in best of threes with all the map pool and a massive event where people have... I just don't think they can do it. So even though those odds are bonkers, I think, look, I did the one on G2 to be silly because I think it could happen. I just don't think the next OG lineup can actually win this event, no matter what the odds are. So there you go. Now, obviously, you can also do the first-time crypto deposit bonus of the 100 USDT bet forgiveness, where you place your bet up to 100 USDT. If you lose, then go to the discord.gg/esportsbet, message the mod mail and tell them Thorin or Last Free Nation sent you, and they will give you up to 100 USDT, your original stake back, and you can make another bet at that point in time with that stake, can't you? So there we go. Who do you think is going to win the Blast World Final?